Welcome to Blink 155, the only Blink 182 podcast to have successfully survived a live show in the dangerous streets of Montreal, Quebec. Josiah, you've been robbed of your microphone. You're talking to me through some sort of punk phone device. I don't know. If people were mad about the audio quality,
full punk.
Full
punk. I'm using a styrofoam cup with a string.
Yeah, you've embraced the lo-fi aesthetic of the Montreal crust scene, to which you now belong full time. You've stuck around. I left, and you were like, "Nope, this is the life for me." But unfortunately, you didn't bring your whole rig with you. So anybody who has previously bemoaned the sad state of the audio of Blink 155, get fucking ready, because this is you talking to me on speakerphone
in front of a fan,
in some punk house full of cats.
Yeah, and the thing that only I will ever experience, that no one else gets to experience, is that the fan that is blowing on me right now is like chopping up the audio so that Sam sounds like Sylvester from Looney Tunes, and it like the entire pod sounds like he's lisping, and I'm obsessed.
Right before we started recording, you asked, "Do you have something in your mouth?" Which is like amongst the more unique questions that's ever been posed to me. Yeah, that should be the name of our game show. My mouth has been like, it's sort of mouth season, along with boy season. Although I want to make very clear those are separate weather events.
Those are separate. The what is the phrase, like the twain shall never meet or something? Never
the twain shall meet, or the twain shall never meet.
Why is two twain?
No twains, baby.
Is that like is Mark Twain's name, if he was around today, his name would be Mark II? and his book would be full of the N-word, but with the A at the end instead of an ER.
Yeah, exactly. That's the update that people have been craving. I think we can get a lot of those books unbanned if you just sort of go in and kind of scratch them up and just make them a little more contemporary.
So let's talk about the live show. I mean, what is there to say, really? It was fucking sick.
It sucked.
There were things
depressing. It was so I hated it.
No, I really liked grinding the gears on the FOMO for everyone.
Yeah, I think, we leaned into it because I think we were also a little more afraid of what would happen in Toronto because it was such a new experience. Whereas this one, I was like all up in my stories, letting people know. I mean, it was an insanely sick experience to be able to go somewhere where neither of us have actual roots. Like in Toronto, there was a lot of people we didn't know, but it's still like a city I've lived in my entire life. You know, tons and tons of people here. Montreal is, despite the fact that I think we both have a lot of pals there, is kind of still like another world. Not only do they speak French, but, they love ska still. Like, it just feels, it feels differenter.
It feels like whenever I go to the store, I keep in my head converting USD to CAD before I buy something. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still in Canada. Like, this is still the same country as Rick Mercer or whatever.
It is.
Or Said the Whale.
Still Rick Mercer's country in Quebec. But yeah, what was your impression? No, please. What do you have to say about Rick Mercer or Said the Whale before we get into it?
I'm just trying to say I've been here for 5 days, and I strongly think that Quebec should separate.
Right. Yeah. You've joined the FLQ. You're putting bombs in mailboxes and stuff.
Hell yeah. I thought the live show was awesome. I mean, the thing is, you took us to the hilarious punk bar Foofs after.
Yes.
Which was incredible.
It's literally the greatest bar in the world. For anyone who's not been, it looks like an 80s punk bar from a horror movie where you think to yourself, no bar is actually this rad, except that this bar is that rad.
Friend of the pod, I'll say it again, and Jess, where we sort of agreed that it reminded us of the aesthetic of the Super Mario Brothers live action movie.
Yeah. Everybody is walking the dinosaur.
And I also just kept thinking that a waiter was going to blow fire when they were carrying a tray of drinks. But then there's people just do stuff like that and take it completely seriously. Or that 77 Montreal Fest happened the day before the pod, and it was Waves and Charlie Bliss playing with Cro-Mags and H2O. But then that night walking around, people were just wearing merch of that festival. They were wearing 77 Montreal merch. So many people, not even of the bands.
Yeah.
And it's just such a bizarre and sincere yet like, I think that just they've never experienced irony here because so much stuff is like still just the 90s, and that's why ska is so big here too.
I actually wonder if irony, and I mean this in terms of French culture, both Quebecois culture and sort of like Franco-French culture, is irony as big of a thing for the French? Like, or is irony a particularly sort of Anglo disease? Because, like, how are French movies ironic? Like, when people talk about French cinema, they're talking about, you know, serious, sexy shit. They're not necessarily talking about things that are sort of, they're dripping with various things, but they're not dripping with irony.
With cum, for example, and say.
Yeah, French movies are cummy as hell.
I think maybe, like, back then, I think, like, in the 70s, like, maybe Godard and all that kind of shit, they, like, knew what irony was. But in terms of, like, modern, like, liking things that are shitty because it's funny too is like, yeah, I feel like in terms of like French movies or French comedy, or I'm sorry, I should say European comedy in general, I feel like basically the main joke is that you're wearing blackface most of the time.
They love it. They love it. I don't know if everyone outside of Canada realizes, but the Quebecois also have Black Peter or whatever his name is. You know, the Dutch blackface holiday treat. They don't really.
Wonderful place.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
but yeah, so Fuss was a great thing, and then we kept wanting to like sort of debrief how the night went, you and I, because we always get our bonding in when we're together. It's important. City.
Yeah.
And so we couldn't figure that out. It was just like too crazy of a night because we were at this hilarious, you almost want to call it a cyberpunk bar or like a steampunk bar. It's like something punk bar, but I can't figure out what the prefix is.
I feel like it's like a retro futuristic punk bar. Like it honestly feels like the bar from like the first Terminator. Like it's just
right.
It's one of those things where you're like, this is someone in like 79 thought this was what the 80s were going to look like, and nothing has changed in 30 years.
Right. Anyways. Yeah, so I mean, even that, I don't want to debrief because I can't stop talking about this damn bar.
Yeah, we're like, how was the show? And you're like, Foofs is insane.
Yeah, so then we're like, okay, we'll just meet up tomorrow. That'll be fine. And so we went back to our place where we're cat sitting. And as I told you, you're like, oh, well, Ashley and I have decided to go watch the LARPers in the park. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I've always wanted to do that. And we can finally sort of hang out, debrief on everything, just basically look each other in the eyes and say the word sick over and over again while talking about ourselves. Yeah. And instead, the next morning, Chris, D-Beatman of the pod, was kind enough to drop off the shirt. So that I was like kind of chatting with him outside, and then Sarah came outside and was like, hey, one of the cats that were like, Bob is his name. He's not neutered yet because he's just like a little rambunctious little boy. And she's like, I'm pretty sure he pissed all in my suitcase. And so sure enough, every single item of clothing that Sarah brought was sprayed with the pheromones of a young cat. And so instead we just kind of spent the next 2 days like soaking things in vinegar and baking soda and going to the laundry.
And I'm like in the park drinking wine, watching LARPing and drum circles, just having like a great Montreal afternoon. I'm like, hey, here's a video of some LARPing. Are you guys coming? And you're like, no, I've bought a lot of vinegar. So we never had a chance to debrief on it.
But that's the thing is, that's not even the worst thing that's happened to me this week. And so
a cat pissing on all of your wife's clothes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
And that being the reason why you and I couldn't hang out. I mean, that's a double whammy.
Exactly. I'm fucking
losses.
I'm whipped, man. I got to remember the bros. Does bros before hoes apply to married life?
I don't know.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I think it very much does for a lot of people, but those people are fucking losers.
You made a lot, like at least 2 jokes in the live show about me like spinning out as a robot and trying to like be like decent. And I'm like super worried about that really like becoming too much of a pod thing. So I don't want to wade into bros before hoes.
But yeah, so that happened. Luckily, I think, well, she had to throw out a few things actually, but mostly there's no more of this. And it's not even I mean, I think it's partly piss, but it's like some sort of weird marking thing, and now I'm really nervous to see Woody because he's gonna know we've been cheating on him.
Oh no!
So, yeah, it's like crazy.
What if Woody tries to like fuck one of Sarah's shirts?
Yeah, I mean Woody's also neutered, so that's maybe the difference. Is you should always. I mean, pets should be asexual. I don't want to upset any furries out there, but that's my strong belief is that all pets should be asexual.
It's weird.
But then, so we finally got all of that sorted, and then we're like yesterday, our friend whose apartment we're staying in, his name is Monty. He's a very kind man, and he was like, while I'm still here in Montreal, he's just sleeping at his recording studio. So why don't we meet for lunch? And we're like, hell yeah, let's go meet for lunch. And so we picked a spot, this restaurant called, I think it's like Pizza. Like, also, I don't want to say anything French, but it's some sort of French pizza word, like pizzateria or something, but French, like la something.
Yeah. The pizzateria.
It has the word, I think. Exactly. And I think it's number 700 or number 900, it's called. Like, it has a number in the name, too. It's a chain, actually, because I'm pretty sure when I was in there, I was like, I think I've been here before in Old Montreal with friend of the pod Zorgel. Because we were both here for this Red Bull thing once. So none of this is that important, except that
I'm also just forgetting that there's a scenario in which you and Zorgel are just hanging out in Montreal, which, like, as a side note for people who, like, you know, really know both of our, like, you and our friends, is just sort of like a fun crossover event. That I like.
Just a little bit of fun color commentary for the whole for like the 10 people who somehow still hang out with you and also listen to this.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Sick people, yeah.
So we were at a different location of pizza. It's called Number 900 Pizzeria Napolitana or something.
Is this like very important to the way that you're going to try to say the title of the song?
No, it's not actually. I'm not going to say the title. There's no pun with the title of the song, but this is fucking crazy. So I told you what happened yesterday, but then I was like, wait, I need to say this on the pod, and then I filled our chat window with just like filler text.
Yeah, it was like, don't read.
Did you?
I've seen. I saw a bit of it when the first message came in. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I sort of know where this is going.
So we were sitting outside on this patio of this wonderful pizza restaurant. And then, like, a giant gust of wind came by. Like, all of a sudden, it went from being, like, painfully boiling hot to being, like, storm time now. So it's, like...
Storm time now is such a great way to describe weather. Like, oh, shit, it's storm time now.
Exactly. So a giant gust of wind came in. We're like, wow, this is crazy. Everything's moving around. And then I want to say that it was like basically like we were extras in the Avengers because the entire table just exploded, essentially. Like the entire awning blew off and one of the big bars like slugged me in the face and I'm covered in bruises all over my body.
Really?
And I can, like, barely walk. Yeah.
Are you like cut up? Do you look cool?
No, not really. Like, I just mostly have a giant fucking bruise on my shoulder. I didn't get a shiner on my face or anything, but I was like, the beam of the, like, awning swung down and clubbed me in the face and in the arm. And
what the fuck?
And it was like all of a sudden there was just like a tent over my face and broken glass all over the place and like Brio soda everywhere. And it was just out of nowhere. It just exploded. And then like I was just like sitting there like, am I dead? Do I have to go to the hospital? What's happening? And then basically I just, in a lot of agony, moved inside and ate my pizza. It was still really delicious. And I was still charged full price.
Really? What? Wait, was it their balcony that exploded or was it like a stranger balcony?
No, it was theirs. Like their
balcony exploded and they charged you full price?
Yeah, I was like, damn, I really love in a way I was like, damn, I respect this because it's like not some entitled flyover country behavior. They're like, well, we still made you the pizza.
Yo, that's fuck. It sounds less like the Avengers. So what I saw was a balcony exploded. So and then I didn't read anything else because then it was all don't read this message or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I said the word balcony when I should have said awning, but it was like basically it felt like everything exploded. It felt like I remember when people used to, for some reason, when there was like a think piece lull, they would talk about like are the Avenger movies immoral? And I know the Avengers, I think, talk about this shit too, about all the toll of bodies or whatever. And I finally felt like what it must be like to be one of those extras who's just like in a building when all of a sudden everything around them shatters.
It sounds like even less like an Avengers movie and more like, you know, the scene in Inception where like Leo and Ellen Page are like learning how to dream and the fruit stand explodes or whatever. Yeah. Like truly out of nowhere and seemingly unmotivated.
It was like fucking, yeah, I was seriously completely in shock because I was just sitting there and then all of a sudden there was a beam on my head and like everything hurt a lot.
Aww.
No, it was crazy though. I mean, I'm just a little bit terrified to go outside. But if I stay in here, I'm going to get pissed on. So
right, there's nowhere safe in Quebec.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, Untitled number 2.
So sorry about your balcony, man.
Isn't that crazy?
It is insane, but it feels like very Montreal. Like the thing that I love about Montreal is like Montreal feels like kind of New York in the sense that like anything could happen to you and it would be your fault. Yeah. Whereas like Toronto is like all the edges have been sanded off in Toronto, and I feel like my impression of Calgary is very much the same. And in Montreal, it's just
there's never been edges in Calgary.
Yeah, you know, but like Montreal is just like one giant edge where like you can just kind of do whatever, and like if you know you fuck up and you die, like that's just kind of your fault. And I appreciate that. Like, I feel like that's why a bar like Foof's exists. Like, I'm sure that like Foof's would somehow be illegal in Toronto. Like, it'd just be too sick.
Yeah.
And they just shut it down. But only in Montreal. And I do want to say we talked briefly about the show, but I want to say like a huge thank you. If anybody listened to this came out, it was so fucking cool to be able to go to a place where neither of us live and have this like, you know, just like cool group of people that wanted talk about Blink, but mostly talk about, you know, like Jake the Snakester and like backyard dentistry and like all the stuff that we kind of talk about in the show that's like really like taking a walk through like the last 2 years of our fucking lives. And I said this to you on chat, we did have like, you know, like Ashley and Sarah were both there. We had a couple of pals that were there, but there's like a lot of people that we don't really know or maybe only know through the internet. And like those are the people I wanted to talk to. Like after the show finished, like you and I just both like, we didn't really chat with each other. We were both just like talking to like different groups of people that were there or whatever. And the whole thing was like, so because it is like an incredibly one-sided conversation that at the very least like me as the one who is like not running the socials is kind of engaged in here, and so to actually like be able to like make it a real conversation and not just like the meme about what listening to podcasts is like is like genuinely satisfying and really like just very cool and energizing. Like it was just such an incredible night, and Turbo House was so sick, and Sergio was so nice for letting us do the show there, and just like I don't know, everyone who came out has my gratitude and appreciation, and I hope that we can do the show other places.
I want to dunk on you for being a sincere robot now, but I gotta say I agree because it's like I've played shows in bands in Montreal before, and basically playing shows anywhere for me is just like an endlessly frustrating thing where not enough, it never feels like enough people came. Yeah. And the pod is completely opposite. And similarly, I just got back from like mailing out most of the merch, and it took so fucking long, and it was so much work because people are actually people are buying it, and I'm like, wait, I've made merch plenty of times in my life, but I've never known that you have to do things if someone buys it too.
Right, this is a totally new world.
I thought merch was something that you make so that you can move from one closet to another whenever you move apartments.
It's just like a keepsake. It's a very heavy and expensive keepsake for a certain time in your life. Yeah, I mean, it was very sick, and we are, like, again, I'm not being a sincerity robot. We are really grateful, right, Josiah? Right?
And also I like imagining it cut off where you just said we are really great.
Right? Yeah, that's gonna be the edit that I'm gonna do later for sure.
Something else we need to talk about. I mean, the craziest thing is
we're not gonna talk about this song, right?
No, barely. I mean, fucking barely.
Good.
There's a lot of other shit to talk about. The craziest thing that happened last week, was actually tons of stuff. Like, I feel like last week was a banger episode, but ST Manville is like fully in the pod realm now. He's like one of our oldest friends now, basically. Everyone was like getting all weepy eyed listening to his music, and he said that it was like one of his favorite things that's ever happened to him is being shouted out on Blink 155, which I would like to hope that any shout out means that much to any of you when you get mentioned in passing in a sentence.
Yeah. You should all be as grateful as ST Manville, though.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously we'll be talking to him again one day. But then the other thing that happened, and I haven't watched this yet, and I feel like I may not even be able to hear it, but I really want to get into it with you. So I also wasn't prepared because I've been running around selling merch all day. But basically, one of the covers we played last week was like someone who's. It was one of the ones we made fun of.
No.
It's really good.
Oh no, you haven't told me this.
I haven't.
What did we do?
Someone named Marty. Played like I don't remember.
I don't remember dunking on anybody last week. I thought we were like very positive.
Yeah, I don't think we were like super mean. I don't think it was like bullying or whatever. Maybe it was.
Ask Reddit.
So Marty is, I believe, in a band called Stress Fractures with like a bunch of people from the nation, including Eric. And Eric told me that they're on tour right now and they were listening to the pod together on tour. They just had a full-on like dying meltdown because
we took a shit on their friend.
Yeah, like he was in the van with them. So,
oh no!
Eric wrote me and said, Eric said, Josiah, this is at Eric Smeal Vivo, or maybe it's Eric Smeal. I don't know. Josiah, all caps. Josiah, Martin Hacker Mullen is my fucking bandmate, LMFAO. I literally laughed so hard I cried. Oh my God. And then he said I recorded their reaction. So the video I sent you is a video from the...
Okay, so I now have a video that you sent me of this reaction. Hold on, I just downloaded it.
Except, you know what? Did it work? Okay, good.
Yeah, I've downloaded it. So I'm just going to unplug my headphones now, and we are going to listen to this video of us. So I guess we're going to hear what we said about this person.
I don't know if they were already filming when the roasting happened, or if this is just the immediate
aftermath. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear this.
Sick, like kind of legit, vintage looking. Like I don't know how you make this art anymore. And I guess maybe it's not Martin Hacker Mullen because it seems like the artist's name is Luigi Takes the Lead. And this is a bonus track from Luigi Takes the Lead's demos. And yeah, like the Bandcamp is just truly so perplexing. It's like this. Do you have an explanation? No, I was hitting puberty when I recorded this. Based on the aesthetics, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Still not sure what I got. Yeah, you get it either, but I'm into it. I'm just happy to know that there's like people out there doing stuff like this for no one except for us to find it. just responded to my DM. Now I gotta revisit someone because we're doing an animus. All right.
Yo, it's not that bad. We weren't that bad.
I couldn't hear most of it, but I did hear Martin saying that they went through puberty.
I had just gone through puberty, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm crying." And then you hear at the end, he just responded to my DM. So definitely, like, you are also being actively DM'd, like, while this is happening.
Yeah, there were people like losing their fucking minds over it.
Oh my god,
that's very sick,
dude. That's so sick.
So I don't know. I think Martin and Eric are in 2 bands: Stress Fractures and Doll Hands. So shout out to them. I'm glad that you've started making better music since you've gotten sort of more comfortable with your puberty.
Yeah. Puberty's a good look on you, you know. Again, you can tell. Also,
great
like,
time of year to say that, boy season.
Right. It's also very funny listening to what is clearly the end of the pod. When I still have beginning of the pod energy, like that song finishes, and I'm like, yeah, it's good. Like, I'm so fucking toast, and like I know that there's so much more to go. It's like it's cool vibes, man. But that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was pretty satisfying to watch that all unfold. But Untitled number 2, the other thing that is not about the song that I need to tell you.
Also, there's more like sort of Wendy Clear updates, right? Well, we're doing Wendy Clear updates, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do that first. Yeah, please.
Okay,
do yours.
so
I forgot about that. That's crazy.
This is crazy. Like, I cannot this is one of those things that is like fucked up that this happened like days after we published the episode. But my sister, Suzanne, the book of the pod or whatever, just texted me on Tuesday of this week to say, so this showed up in Publishers Weekly this morning. Deal news, young adult. I guess implying that this is a deal related to a young adult novel. Wendy Clear by Cleo McKenna, pitched as Youth in Revolt meets Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, exploring teenage ennui set against a backdrop of 90s alternative music and DIY culture, to Madison Astley at Flashpoint Publishing in a major deal in a preempt for publication in fall 2022. As Publishers Weekly previously reported, film rights have been optioned by Beanie Feldstein. Is that... Wait, is Beanie Feldstein Jonah Hill's sister?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that there's a chance that there's a Wendy Clear movie, like, produced by Jonah Hill's sister?
Yeah, like Booksmart level. So maybe it's not going to be the Hulu original that we had originally pitched, but it does definitely.
But like we conjured this. Like we've talked about Youth in Revolt like 3 fucking times now for no reason except for the fact that it's going to be the inspiration for Wendy Clear, a novel and upcoming film from Beanie Feldstein. That's fucked.
Like, do you remember last week we were talking about Wendy Clear the film the whole time too? Like,
yeah,
we've conjured the whole entire thing. Not only that, but I think Beanie Feldstein needs to hear from our lawyers.
Yo, that's an interesting idea. We should at the very least get her on the pod to confront her and serve her.
Yeah, I think this project should be completely intertwined with the pod immediately, as soon as possible, even though the book's not even out for another 3 years, because that way it'll definitely be ruined by us.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to like ruin our own lives. I definitely want to reach out and fuck with Cleo McKenna and Beanie Feldstein.
I told Sarah that when you sent it to me, and she was like I just told her what you sent, but I didn't say anything, and she was like, you guys always do this. You always make these things happen. And I'm like, I know. But
isn't it cool that for once, like, instead of getting like an icon of our adolescence, canceled for reprehensible behavior, we've instead made a potentially delightful book and film happen with a, tremendous talent.
Yeah, I mean, both are good, I think.
Yeah, I also I don't know that we can read them because I think this is like real proprietary shit. But I am getting leaked pages from a literary scout report as well. So slide into the DMs if you want a page or two. Maybe not. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this now.
Yeah, what's the legality of that? Like, what if we just sort of did a reading as exclusive?
Oh, I you know what? I'll text Susie and find out. But I feel like it's going to be like, are you actually talking with us on the pod, you dickhead? But it's like a Publishers Weekly. That's fair game. We all read it. Everyone here knows about PW. So,
wait, are you the older brother or the younger brother?
The older brother. Come on.
Yeah, it's just whenever you talk about your sister, I feel like you have really younger brother. And
fuck off! I do not. I'm clearly a big brother. That's my whole vibe. There's also some great content to come out of you and I being together. Was we took a photo in front of Turbo House with the crusties of the pod, which is like an incredible sort of contingent that we are blessed with, and I'm standing on like a step. And so I look like not freakishly tall, but like a tall guy. And it was like nice to imagine like what it would be like if like how much respect I would command. And it, like on every platform where that was posted, someone's like, for a second I thought Sam was tall, and then I realized he's on a step. I was like, fuck off, everyone.
You could probably get some sneakers with platforms in them or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna start wearing like creepers or whatever. Like creepers are tall. I don't know.
Okay, as we veer towards talking about this song for like 5 minutes,
yeah,
we're gonna do this week.
Yeah, for sure.
There's another thing. I had seen this when we did it. So remember when it was Untitled season? Because this is truly the stupidest and worst project ever done. We had this season where we talked about Untitled thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was the thing.
Okay. Someone sent. I think I saw this back then, and then I kind of forgot. But somebody named 40 Ounce to Ian sent me this to let me know.
That's honestly like a good name, to be honest. Shout out Ian.
Can you log into the Twitter? Actually, it might be easier than me sending you.
God, I have to do all the fucking work today, huh?
I know. Now you know what it's like.
This is fucked. I hate this. So what else? Like while I try to figure out how Twitter works, what else is like Montreal sort of infecting your life with? In what new ways are you like freshly Quebecois?
Whew. I don't know. It's crazy how you have to be like a doomsday prepper, because during the day there's like so much delicious food all around you, just like mocking you with how many options there are. And then as soon as like 8 p.m., well, I'm exaggerating, but as soon as nighttime hits, everything is closed and gone. So you really have to it's like fucking some end of the world shit. So I'm really learning how to actually think ahead to make sure that I have snacks around me at all times.
Well, that's so weird, because I always think of Montreal as being a place where I can buy beer in the depth whenever the fuck I want, and also where the bars are open till 3 a.m. But I realize that's because all I'm referring to is consumption of alcohol. I'm like, Montreal's amazing. What the fuck is wrong with you? You can get shit whenever you want, as long as that shit is Labatt 50. So,
right.
What are you looking for me to do here in the Twitter?
You in?
I'm in, bro. I'm hacked.
Okay,
I'm in the mainframe.
Scroll down to. There's so many fucking DMs. Go down to July 25th.
Jesus. July.
And you'll see Dude Bro. 40 Ounce to Ian.
Okay, 40 Ounce to Ian. Yeah, got it.
Okay, this is really long, but there's a conspiracy theory that we missed when we did the Dude Ranch Untitled, and then when we mentioned Untitled #1. So Ian correctly was like, I was really hoping you'd address this. And so we're going to. I haven't had time to really research this very much, but it's very curious, to say the least. Around the time of Kazaa and LimeWire, there would be a song from Dude Ranch. Because remember, we were like, why is the Dude Ranch song called Untitled? There's no good reason for that. Mm-hmm. So back then, it would be listed on streaming services as ERS, like Mark Twain style N-word with an S at the end.
Twain style. Okay, yeah. So you're saying it wasn't jovial. It was a hard R.
Right. And I mean, I don't think any of them can really say it anyway, regardless of how they conjugate it. I don't know if they can be saying it. Maybe Travis, but that's not my call to make.
He definitely thinks he can, for sure. He sees it in the mirror sometimes, and it's like, yeah, it works. He's convinced himself, but he's still smart enough to not bring it out in public. He's like Tarantino, where he's it just feels really good coming out of his mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. Fuck Tarantino. fucking foot freak. Actually, that's the coolest part about him. He loves feet because he looks like a foot.
You think that's it?
I think so. It's like looking in a mirror. Anyways, so they would see this Blink song called N-Word with the ERS, and then, I mean, Ian, I'm not trying to put you on blast here, but you would go ahead and download it, which is kind of, a little odd. But then it would either be like the Dude Ranch version of Untitled or the Mark Tom and Travis show version. So Ian's theory that he thought of when he was a freshman in high school was that they wanted to name the song the N-word, but then the label told them no. So they just changed it to Untitled. And like maybe Ian is just making that up, but it is kind of a good theory as to why they would have called it that. You know what I mean?
It's not a good theory. Is that they wanted to call it like a slur, and so they were like, well, then we just won't title it. That's a stretch. Like that is a remarkable stretch.
Well, either way, if you scroll down, there is collective memory of this online, and Ian has sent me some examples of like a bunch of places where it is listed as that. On megalyrics.net, it's listed fully written out, Mega Lyrics. Shame on you. And then, yeah, where else? Someone on Reddit has said, remember the LimeWire days when it was listed like this? And then Ian also says, like, when they had an old iPod, it was probably on their list of that. I mean, I guess Ian is just reading into it with this theory, but I don't know. It's crazy. Like, whether it was them or not, the song was definitely known as that for a long time.
Well, we've talked about this before with, like, the way that, I mean, there was, like, a few things that would happen back in those days. One was, like, as a way of getting people to download their shittier bands, people would upload and like say it was a song by a better, more established group, and it was like a way of proliferating your own music. There's also this like, you know, kind of shitty thing that happened for Weird Al, where people would upload like racist parody songs and say they were Weird Al, and so there's definitely a generation of people who think that Weird Al has like a whole anti-Semitic back catalog that he doesn't have. But like that, I don't remember that at all, and that's probably because I was never. Like, I owned all those CDs, so I wasn't trying to download it, I guess. But, like, that's weird. And so it's so embedded in the cultural memory that it's actually listed on some lyric sites. That's fucked.
It's so crazy.
But I do appreciate scrolling through that chat that he's like, I'm still 60% convinced that, like... that's actually true somehow, and that it was what it was supposed to be called, and not definitely just some edgelord from the 90s who like mislabeled it on purpose because it was Untitled and they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those theories that I just want to believe so bad that I just feel like I'm just gonna take it as gospel truth now.
Yeah, this is on so like many lyric sites like this. This is insane.
Oh, so you just typed it in?
I honestly typing it. I went in incognito mode though.
The only time you're allowed to type that word is if you're searching someone's tweets to try to cancel them.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I thought as I was typing it, I was like, "This does not feel good to type." And then, like, I started typing it in the regular window, and then I was like, "I don't want this in my search history," so I went to highlight it, like, just to copy and paste it into like an incognito browser window, and then I was like, "I don't want that in my clipboard." Jesus Christ! So I actually typed it out twice while we were talking.
I also
felt really bad.
I also just searched it and found like a horrible message board post reimagining if the Untitled album was that as well. So, I mean, is Untitled just some sort of like code for the N-word, like Pizzagate and the cheese pizzas?
I also do wonder if like Blink has, because of, and we've never talked about this, and I kind of feel like we won't. Just because it's so, but now we are, so sorry. But like Blink 1488 is like, I guess, popular enough that maybe there are, even if not full on, like, you know, proper ass white supremacists, just like shitty edgelords who like Blink is sort of part of that, the way that they are shitty. Do you know what I mean? That's a horrible way of expressing that, but I kind of wonder, specifically because of Blink 1488, if they're a little more in that world than you and I might otherwise like assume.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, maybe it's just because they're so everywhere that they've resonated with people like that. I mean, it's possible that even we're getting so popular that maybe we have some extreme sketchy bigot 4chaners list.
Oh shit.
Hard to say, I guess.
Should we we be more careful about how we refer to them so we don't alienate all of our fans? Like, just be like, talk about how like edgelord shit is actually quite tight.
Yeah, or like, what's like a really good like kid glove way to put it? Like how would like, you know, a national newspaper put it? Like alternately inclined.
Alternately race-based thought or whatever. Yeah.
Basically, Antifa is the real pho, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah. And, that's the official position of the pod. Let's start going after that demographic for sure.
No, I'm joking. Antifa is tight and fucking fuck the racist. If you listen and you're racist, don't. Go away.
You know what?
Leave us alone.
Don't bother me. Maybe I talked about this on the pod, but I will now. So friend of the pod, George from Alexis, when they played at the amphitheater this summer, he did like a fairly sort of like long speech about like, you know, homophobes and racists and like transphobes and bigots and sexists. Like, it was just like, we don't want you. Leave your merch at the door. Fuck you. And it was like honestly kind of sick, only because like that band has so many like normie fans that probably do possess shitty beliefs. Like, that's a band that's ascended past like only preaching to the choir to like for sure have people who listen to them and love them and probably have Alexis on Fire tattoos who like maybe pieces of shit. And I just thought it was like honestly sick, and it wasn't like offhanded, and it wasn't at the end, and it wasn't short. It was like a significant monologue, and it didn't feel like preaching to the choir. But so
when he was yelling all of that stuff,
yeah,
in between every line was Dallas Green singing something underneath it.
Yeah. It was honestly kind of incredible how quickly they can just sort of drop into
racism is bad.
It was
the other thing I actually do really want to say though is that when we reference like the racist Blink-182 covers or any of that kind of shit, like I know that it's interesting enough that some people might want to look it up and listen, but I would just say that like it's not even worth it to give these people another hit. Like, we'll find you the funnier, better Blink-182 shit. So don't click on it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like not funny. I mean, this is something that I think I not like struggled with, makes it sound like more complicated, but I mean, certainly something that I think This Exists did a lot was like, there's no better term for this, but like platform stuff that sucked. And in retrospect, with just like the way that I think things keep getting worse, you kind of wonder like, is that really fun? Like, is that useful? It's never fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, what use is it to be like, hey, check out, these are some Nazis, but they play ska, and you're like, I don't know, is that worthwhile? And I ultimately feel like it's probably not, and that sucks. But I mean, none of that stuff was ever done with, you know, harm in mind. But it's something that I've, for sure, I think like have come around to not thinking like it's funny to point at those things anymore, for sure. And that's like a function of the world that we live in, I guess, now, or maybe always have, and I'm just aware of.
You didn't have harm in mind. You had harms in mind.
Right, yeah, it's true.
At any given time.
Yeah, that's always where my heart is.
Okay, let's talk about this fucking song.
Oh, so I mean, this was the first time I heard it. Yeah, so this is like an all-timer in terms of getting to it. Josiah, the song Untitled #2 by the band Blink-182. Maybe that's a coincidence. You think they did that on purpose? What are your thoughts on this song? Huh?
I was actually listening to it while I was going back here, trying to get here in time that we'd have time to talk. And then I listened to it one more time. It's very, very, very forgettable. But I will say the first thing that stands out to me is that I do feel like everyone, when they're starting out, well, I guess not everyone, because I didn't, but everyone wants to have a song where they use like the false harmonics as part of the riff.
Yeah, totally.
Like, did you ever have one like that?
Yeah, we did in I don't think any of the bands that we've really talked about on this pod, but Sidford was the band that I played in that had the harmonic song. which like
Yeah.
it was very sick. When you discover that sound is possible, oh boy, it's very exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm drawing a blank right now, but I know there's got to be a couple really famous ones that actually use the harmonics well. Actually, I think there's a Yes song that I played on the My Age podcast that I can't even think of. The Roundabout, like the riff at the start of that, I know they do a harmonic. And then there must be something like some classic rock shit that I can't remember, like some fucking Eric Clapton or whatever that does it. But in terms of like everyone's teen pop punk band wants to do it and tries it, and then they just like learn how to actually write riffs. Like it's kind of something you do instead of writing a riff.
Yeah, just like you're like, this is a neat sound. I'm right now on ultimate-guitar.com because I Googled good songs with harmonics, and Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam, it sounds like. Blurry by Puddle of Mud.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's honestly, that song fucking rules, and the Puddle of Mud story is very sad.
I don't think I know it. I know that she fucking hates that one guy, though. That's
she does. Sad. Well, it turns out no one hates him more than himself, I think. Apparently, Reliant K have a song, I Need You, that has 15th fret harmonics. Is that one you're familiar with?
No, I'm not. But I guess because I'm feeling nice, I'll plug that someone from the nation just started Danny MXPX Memes and his wife just started a patent Blink-155 ripoff, but it's all about Reliant K songs. I think it's called the Sadie Hawkins Pod.
Sick.
And they're talking about different Reliant K songs, so maybe we can go on that one when they
talk
get
about
to that song.
Yeah, that would
and talk about the harmonics and just do this whole up. Maybe we could send them the stems for this episode, and they can just use that for their pod.
That'd be perfect. The Roundabout by Yes, it sounds like that's got some.
That's what I just said, baby.
I'm agree. So yeah, it turns out you're like a classic rockhead, eh?
Oh hell yeah!
You're
honestly,
a proggy boy.
I would love to start listening to classic rock again. I really should.
Nothing stop. Like, God, wouldn't it be amazing if you could do that?
Well, imagine just like going into your house and like putting on like Led Zeppelin Houses of the Holy. Like that would be so sick, but I would feel so insecure the whole time. I'd be like, I'm doing something embarrassing right now.
Yeah. What? Streetlight Manifesto, Birds Flying Away, some Muse song.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's the other thing. So we walked down because we went to see Jonathan Van Ness do a comedy show during Just for Laughs. We walked like through the Just for Laughs, like their weird. It's basically like South by Southwest for like the biggest dorks who've ever lived on Earth. It's like the South by Southwest is for also the biggest dorks who've ever lived, but they're trying to seem cool. But like South by Southwest, Just for Laughs is like Woodstock in terms of like letting it all hang, like let your lanyard hang out because you're such a nerd. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, all the photos you posted from it were like it looked like a Just for Laughs gag about being in Quebec. Like it was just impossibly Quebecois. Yeah,
like I immediately understand why those gags seem so errorless because you just walk around and you're like, is it 1993 or 2030 right now? I have no idea. It's so confusing. But I definitely saw a guy just like strutting his stuff in a Muse shirt. And I was like, where am I right now? This is incredible. I've never even seen a Muse fan in real life before.
Yeah, they all live in Quebec.
So yeah, the harmonic thing is what really stands out to me. And then in this YouTube video that I sent, luckily, because it's really hard to find details about this song because it's just from it's Untitled #2 from their second demo, which is also Untitled. So it's very convoluted, but someone has transcribed the lyrics. And this is from 1993. I guess it also just sounds to me like, again, like maybe what I imagine Jawbreaker sounds like a little bit.
I'll be honest, like, I love Jawbreaker, but the Jawbreaker I love is, like, sellout Jawbreaker. When I try to listen to old Jawbreaker that's, like, supposed to be cool, it does sound like this to me. Like, I just want to listen to, like, Dear You and be happy with the fact that they got a bunch of money from a major label and then punched each other in the head and broke up.
Yeah, like listening to this song definitely makes me think about all the times that I tried to get into Crimp Shrine.
yeah, totally. Where you're like, this is cool. I like this. You don't. Like, even listening to it, I was like, I don't hate it, but I'll never listen to it again, which is how I feel like when I bought a Crimp Shrine record.
Yeah, like I was like, thank God I got rid of all my records before a Numero Group Crimp Shrine box set came out, because I definitely would have felt like I had to buy that, and then it just would have sat there mocking me.
Exactly. So that is 100% the energy of the song.
But like the lyrics, I want to look at the lyrics because they're very funny. I remember also when I was like, in fact, still now, I don't write songs anymore, but whenever I have, I've always felt kind of like insecure or something about saying the words you and I too often. I don't know why. I don't know if someone told me that once or if I've just thought of it myself, but it's like kind of impossible not to write a song without addressing someone in some way. But either way, this one I feel like just made me think of like why I was insecure about it, because it immediately sounds like a diary entry if you overuse the yous and the I's.
Yeah, this is very U-E-I-E.
Did you ever like feel like you're saying you and I too much?
No, because I've always like lived for extremely confessional songwriting, and so
no, your songs are actually about us, the collective listen, the brothers and sisters in arms.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I'm always writing for my brothers and sisters in the pit. So,
well, yeah, like the first three lines are like, almost seems schizophrenic. It's, you don't call me, I don't talk to you. Won't you leave me alone? I want to be by myself now. I come into my home, but I still want your touch. But now you've gone away. For the freedom from you is a price I'll never learn to pay. This
is basically free punk lyrics.
It is, yeah. It's very similar.
Yeah,
I don't know what's the chorus or what, but the next bit, black is in the air, and I'm now living in a state of solitaire.
See, but this is like one of those things where you're like, this is definitely a band that would like later on go to put commiserating in a pop song, like because it fit the scheme.
True. Like, but is solitaire actually like a state you can be in, or is it exclusively a card game?
No, like, I mean, like you could be like in a solitary state, but I don't know that you could be in a state of solitaire. Like, I don't think. I am absolutely going to be smacked down by someone who's smarter than me listening to the pod right now, like the fucking nerd of the nation or whatever. But
well, I'm seeing it's a card game, and then the second definition is a diamond or other gem set in a piece of jewelry by itself, a diamond solitaire. So perhaps he was actually very well aware of sort of jewelers and their gem techniques.
Maybe this was like early promotion for the Good Times guys movie with Adam Sandler.
The Sappy the next movie.
Yeah. Maybe this is going to be in the soundtrack.
I sure walked down the street. Like, what? I sure walked down the street.
Oh boy, that's sure walking there. What the fuck? No, I don't know.
Everything's not what it seems. There's a distance between you and me. Now you don't like what you're feeling, all alone, and you are on your own. That's very redundant, Tom. I sure walked down the street. That is a really good line. Well, I sure walked down the street. I don't know about you.
Well, telling you, man, hey, did you make it to the party? Well, I sure walked down the street. Like it sort of feels like you're sort of downplaying some other failure, where you're like, well, let me tell you,
like a little bit indignant.
Yeah.
It has very grumpy Alberta dad energy.
Yeah.
Well, I sure walked down the street, didn't I? And then it ends with, now you don't like what you're feeling, all alone and no place to go. Your life is not worth living. Now it's apparently dumb that your brain has gone to less, giving all your attention cries. You're living in a circus. This is so free punk. This is like free punk lyrics gone back and forth through Google Translate a few times.
Right, yeah. I mean, honestly, now that we've read it out, I think the song rocks, and I'm excited to listen to it all the time.
Like, is saying you're living in a circus a way of like calling someone a clown?
It's subtle though, right?
Yeah.
But what's
Like,
great is,
buddy.
again, like having written before that, your brain has gone to less in order to rhyme with circus. Like it's
Right.
just like a sea of near rhymes and desperate attempts to sort of like nail a certain like syllabic pattern.
Well, if there's one thing we can take from this, I think we've stumbled upon two brand new idioms that could be used. So I think let's actually define what "I sure walk down the street" means.
Okay.
Like, I mean, could it be that you are, you're up and at 'em going through the no matter what's come your way and what kind of tough situation you're in, whatever trials and tribulations you're facing, you're still sort of maintaining your day-to-day life, and you're not.
I think
you're
that's
not letting
it.
stop
Yeah.
you from.
Yeah, you're still, well, I'm still breathing. It's like how, like, Josiah, I know, like it's been tough for you. You had the cat piss all in Sarah's bag, and then that Avengers
And then the
railing
restaurant
exploded on you. Like, how are you keeping those? Everything all right?
Well, I sure walk down the street.
Good. All right. Good to hear. Good to hear, man. We'll keep your head up.
Yeah, that works.
It totally works. Like it's just.
And also, just when you said Avengers railing, I just pictured all of the Avengers just kind of running a train on me.
Which Avenger do you want to like be the lead train for you?
I don't even remember who these fucking people are.
Yeah, they're all dead now, right?
I think so. Like, there's something where it's like some confusing thing where like they all became invisible and half of them died, and then now,
What?
and then at the end they're like, actually, we just reset the universe and everyone's back. I don't know. I was like, because I went to see the new Spider-Man because I like Spider-Man movies. They're like so simple, but then I found out that I left because, okay, this is a long story. Whenever you go to a press screening for something, if they like take away your phones, have you ever had this happen?
Yeah.
And what do they do in Toronto when that happened?
They just, I mean, I haven't been to a press screening in a long time, but I remember just like having to like literally like leave phones at the front, and they had like zip bags for them or some shit.
Yeah, like in Calgary, they use actual paper brown bag lunch bags.
Weird.
And they just fold the top. And for some reason, it makes me so stressed that it's just like, I'm going to be like, oh, my lunch, and walk away with my phone. So we like booked it out of there because we're like, oh, let's get our phones. And then I found out we missed a post-credit sequence. So I looked it up, and it's like basically like the Wikipedia for the post-credit sequence is like 4 times the length of the plot of the movie because it's into this Avengers lore where like half of the people don't exist anymore or whatever. It's fucking stupid. So to answer your question, no, I don't want the Avengers to rail me.
Okay, right. Okay, it took you a while to get there, but that's sick.
Okay, what about you're living in a circus?
I mean, I think that's to me the implication is like you're a clown, but what I actually think it is that like you're surrounded by clowns, right? Because if you were living in the circus, it's just like and it's a little bit on you, like because like maybe you should leave the circus, but like maybe you like it there.
You have
I don't know.
Carny blood, like you can't leave because you're a clown.
Exactly. And so I think it's just like one of those things where you're like, hey, why didn't you like invite me to your party? It's like, well, I mean, I don't know. You're living in a circus, and it's like maybe
it's reminding me of like
clown friends to your party or whatever.
What's the other one? Like you're living in a fantasy or you're living in a dream world. That sort of vibe.
I mean, those are both phrases. Yeah.
It's making me think of those, but then but then when you say that you're surrounded by clowns, it's more like this saying is less on you and more about your scenario. It's almost sympathetic in a way. But
yeah, truly, where it's like, so you know what, you're living in a circus. Like it's got to be hard for you because there's just lions and elephants constantly at odds.
It's like basically, if someone would say that to one of our wives because of the podcast.
That is absolutely something that I'm sure has been said to both of our wives at some point.
You're living in a circus.
Yeah, just they had fun at the pod though. I think maybe I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I haven't really talked to Ashley since
holding our bags. For us.
Yeah, exactly. They're so supportive.
I mean, I didn't even check if there was covers of this. When I searched it, I saw there was a John Frusciante song called Untitled No. 2, and it sounded quite good. I've tried to get into the Frush before, because I love this song from the Spike Jonze skate movie. Yeah, right. It's so cool. But then I've like put on his albums and they fucking suck ass. But his Untitled #2 is very good. But I can't find anything else about the Blink one.
I did a quick scan for it, and I'm not seeing anything. So, should I let you get back to like soaking your clothes in vinegar over there in beautiful Montreal?
Yeah, and hiding from falling balcony.
So Josiah, what are your final thoughts on the song Untitled #2 by the band Blink 182? Which did someone French say that? Did that happen? No, it was an English guy.
No, it was the English guy. There was an English guy at the pod, brought by a friend of the pod, Sarah Murphy, and he not only did he say Blink 182, but after the pod. He had no idea who we were, and he was like, after watching that, I've got to ask you, do you even like Blink 182 or Blink 182?
Yeah.
He's like, because that was just one long piss take. I was like, good Lord, fucking British guy.
Yeah. So
be more British. How about?
So Josiah, what are your final thoughts on the song Untitled #2 by the band Blink 182?
I'm glad that there's actually. Oh, you know what, Sam? I'm so sorry. We need to. There's one more idiom that we almost missed. I was excited about all the idioms, but what could it be that you're living in a state of solitaire?
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm thinking it's like. No, okay. I was like building a whole fantasy scenario where it's like a totalitarian country that's like like GDP is built on online gambling, and you're in charge of playing solitaire, I guess. But maybe it's like a bit of an old timey expression for someone who's addicted to their phone. Because people just assume that like, oh, you're looking your like. What are the things that old people used to do on computers, like or phones? Like you would play Snake. Or like solitaire was like the only game on computers like for decades. Basically,
until cable internet, the only cool thing any of us had ever seen was when our one friend won solitaire and all of the cards.
Oh
were crazy.
My god, it was crazy! But
yeah, remember when there was that one deck you could get? I think it was on old Mac computers. Maybe it was PC because I remember having it, but like. Every once in a while, the painting of the lady would wink at you, or like the sunset, the birds would flap their wings or something.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Does anyone ever
only 90s kids remember that?
Does anyone play solitaire like not on a computer? Like, has anyone ever actually played it with real cards? I don't think it's possible.
I think it's definitely possible. Yeah, because you just keep clicking the pile with your index finger and it's not flipping.
You're like, what the fuck? So I think living in a state of solitaire is like a sort of like you're being a little it's like people who deliberately use old timey phrases. Like if someone's like, gosh darn it, and you're like, fuck off. It's the same thing. It's like a pageman ass way of being like you're on your phone too much, you know?
Amazing. Okay, well, my final thought is that I love this song because it's given us 3 new idioms that we can try to incorporate into our lives.
Yeah, I also love idioms. So my final thought is idioms rock, and very sincerely Montreal also rocks, but mostly idioms rock. Montreal's a bit of a circus, to be honest. Like when you're in Montreal, you are living in a circus.
It's true, and I'm trying to live in a state of solitaire looking at my phone. For once, I actually want to introduce the guest spot because I can't remember.
You don't want to surprise people with the guest showing up?
I feel like I could ruin it. I could ruin the surprise 30 seconds early.
Yeah.
And also because I found out his name and how to pronounce it, and then I immediately fucked it up so badly because I was doing so many guest spots in a row. So I can at least say it a little bit better in the introduction, and then you'll hear me fuck it up right after. But it's like, you get these guests on where you're like, should I just get them to read their own credits from Wikipedia so that everyone knows how sick of a guest they are? But instead of doing that, I'll read his Wikipedia. So his name's Daniel Gray Longino. He has directed numerous episodes of Pen 15. He directed almost every episode of Who is America, or he was on it. He's credited on every episode. He edited on Decker. Check it out with Dr. Steve Brule, Kroll's Show, Portlandia, Tim and Eric.
It's just so like dumb, so like truly shit. Dumb.
Yeah, like I look at it and I'm like, fuck you. Just fuck you. And also,
I hope that's the whole interview. Is just you being like, you're a dick. You're such a dick.
Yeah, exactly. But the main thing is that it's kind of a funny pod lore thing. Is that he directed Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein, that we've both watched. It is like super surreal, crazily
amazing.
realistic,
I loved it,
though.
and it's like half an hour. Like it's so worth your time if you haven't watched it.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny.
But he directed it. But the funny thing is that like it was actually literally announced on the pod by John Levinstein. Like we broke
breaking
that
Netflix
existed.
news, eh?
Yes, and now we're breaking Beanie Feldstein news. So we're really just becoming the go-to spot for comedy news. So fuck Splitsider. We're Splitsider now, baby. Welcome to Blink 155, to director/editor. I mean, I'm very stressed looking at your IMDb because it seems like you've worked on every good TV show ever. Welcome to Dan Longino. Oh, fuck. I fucked it up. We did a whole 10 minutes of preparation of how to pronounce your last name. Dan Longino. Got it.
Let's say 5. It wasn't more than 5 minutes talking about my name.
It was,
and
yeah.
how it's pronounced.
I guess it just sort of felt like 10 minutes, but 5 is still pretty long. What's going on, Dan? Thank you for...
It was the one thing I was like, it doesn't matter how to pronounce it as long as a choice is made. And then right out of the gate, it's botched.
It just fucked it up so badly.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, my God. You haven't said my name out loud yet, so I don't even know if you know what it is. Do you?
Listen, we're here to talk about Blink-182. No, Josiah, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I was told that it has a hard S in it, but I've quickly given up on that because...
Is it Poe or Ja?
I think it's Josiah.
Josiah.
But the soft S is something that I've come to terms with. I'm okay with it now.
People ever say Hosea?
Oh, yeah. People say all kinds of shit. All kinds of things all the time. I think the soft S mostly triggers me because I used to have an aunt, a great aunt, who would, when I'd see her at like family reunions or whatever, she'd give me a hug and say, "Oh, it's so nice to see you, Josiah." But she would like sort of say it into my neck, like with her lips. Like it was like basically like she was making out with me. And so maybe that's why I get so triggered.
My grandfather would touch my knee as an affection, but I'm like very ticklish. So it became like having this feeling of like, this tickles me, but I don't want to offend my grandfather. So it was like, you know what I mean? Like, right. Yeah, anyway.
So you're here because you saw that we had John Levinstein on to talk about what's
John Levinstein was on. Well, I thought it was amazing that John Levinstein was on a Blink-182 podcast because I don't think you could tell one Blink-182 song from any of the other 154 whatsoever at all. So I thought it was amazing that you had him on. That was great. And so I listened to that, thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought John was great. And I thought since that he announced our Netflix show, Frankenstein's Monsters, Monster Frankenstein, on this podcast, it's sort of like this podcast is almost the official promoter of our.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, I was kind of pissed that no one aggregated that news or whatever. Like, buried in hour 3 of a Blink-182 podcast, we announced an esoteric Netflix standalone special.
Yeah, it was the technical launch of it. It all started. So we're coming full circle now that it's released. Now let's promote that. But I was wanting to talk about a song, but you have none left, I guess. Have you done all 100?
We have tons left, but you kind of said, here's the thing. I'm going to be completely honest with you. You had said, because you've also worked on Pen 15, another show that I love. I'm just going to be drooling over your IMDb this whole time. But you kind of said, let's make sure that it's pre-take off your pants and jacket because then we can talk about Pen 15. And I thought, well, basically all that's left is like California Deluxe tracks or like Damn It. And we have to save Damn It for the end. So I don't know what song this is going to be attached to, but it's like, we just got to talk General Blink because you're too late. You should have come in earlier. We could have talked about some great Dude Ranch deep cut.
I know. We could have talked about any Dude Ranch song. Well, I don't know why I'm trying to lead. You lead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I kind of like it. I like being in the co-pilot chair. But you were very excited about, Blink-182. Like, tell me about your story with, actually, more than that, what I more am interested in is, like, what's your story with music in general, with, like, punk music and underground culture, and were you ever too cool for Blink-182, that kind of vibe?
Oh my God, I love this. I was nowhere cool enough, which is even better. So growing up, my mom was a music critic.
Really?
Yes. So she was into very cool music.
Like, for who?
Well, lots of different things. She worked for, she was the editor-in-chief of the University of Georgia newspaper, where she met my dad, who was also a journalist. And then they both became critics. She was a music critic and my father was a film critic. But my mom she also worked for RCA Records, and then ended up mainly doing music criticism for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, where I grew up in Atlanta.
Wow.
So she was very cool and would take me to a bunch of concerts and stuff and introduce me to, like, cool music. But I'm sure I was a very disappointing son, because all I was into was, like, movie soundtracks and Weird Al.
Of course. That's like a form of rebellion, right? It's like...
Not like movie soundtracks, like, you know, like, oh, okay, there's a lot of cool songs on the Pulp Fiction sound. No, this was like scores.
Okay.
Like, have you listened to Score to Aliens? Like, it's really good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like that kind of... That was like my music taste, basically.
And like, what was the cool things that your parents were into? Like, what was like the hip thing that your mom was like super stoked on?
Right. Well, she was mostly focused on country music, which I thought was really lame at the time. So she'd be like, oh, you know, it would be like she was talking about the Brooks and Dunn are coming out and I'm hearing all about them. And I'm just like, I don't know about this. But my mom was super cool. She loved, like, Bruce Springsteen and the Beatles and all sorts of stuff like that. So, you know, Tom Petty and all this kind of awesome music. So. Right.
And you were listening to some 90s scores, probably like a terrible time for music production in terms of scores as well.
Hans Zimmer's hits, you know what I mean? Like, it's very disappointing. But my mom got me into Nirvana, which is amazing. It's like, she's like, oh yeah, you should listen to this. Not like when that double Tupac record came out, All Eyes on Me, like, my mom was into it and I wasn't listening to it. So that was kind of my world.
Amazing. I think I can see starting with Weird Al as sort of a natural evolution into getting into pop punk. It's the same voice, especially. That's right,
yeah. Weird Al's a gateway to pop punk. It's a funny idea. That's a funny concept. But, then at some point, I just kind of got, like, Nirvana I was really into before, but then in my high school life, it was kind of like there were it crystallized for me for like three bands. So it was Blink-182, Foo Fighters, and Weezer, kind of in that order.
Okay.
And that was kind of like, those were the three bands for me when I was in high school.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you sort of went to it at, like, because some people start with Blink-182 and then they get into, like, Crass or something and become like a true punker, and those people are usually much more serious about everything in life. But for you, it's kind of like you started with Weird Al and then arrived at Blink-182.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we you know, the Beatles were my parents' Beatles, but then Blink-182 is probably my Beatles. I don't know how they reckon with that. Like that, I wonder how they felt about that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what your mom thought of Blink-182. I wonder if she's ever reviewed them.
I don't think so. It was really like, that was sort of not, because she actually went deeper into the country side of things.
Right.
Older than I got. So she was more like, you know, she was writing about, like, the Dixie Chicks and stuff.
Which is another sort of full circle thing, because country is basically the coolest pop culture available now.
Well, country got kind of, you're thinking about, like, Old Town Road and stuff, which has kind of saved it from, what's that band, Florida Georgia Line?
Yeah, although I actually love them. I love them, too, because I listen to the show Time Crisis on Apple Music, and they're obsessed with that song. Like, they've played it so many times. It's Ezra from Vampire Weekend's show. They've played it so many times that it's like...
Oh, really?
It's really deeply funny. Ingrained in my brain. Like, I mean, I think that you can listen to anything enough times that it becomes cool.
What song is it? Is it the one with Nelly or which?
No, the one with, what's her name? BB Rexa.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I know that one. Is it a newer one?
Yeah, it's from like a year or two ago, but it's it has like. Oh my god! Yeah, I guess.
The time I was very obsessed with them. We did a segment on Kroll's show that was kind of based on them.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, where Nick and John Daly play these characters called Bobby Bottle Service and Peter Paparazzo, and with the Florida Georgia Line, they just look like Peter and Bobby.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like they look and act like them. But that was the concept was Peter and Bobby go country, and then it became the worst of both worlds. Like, it was the worst of their world meets the worst of like country music. So it was like a nightmare cocktail of. But anyway, I thought that was really cool because it was sort of like that was what was happening in country music kind of at that moment.
Right.
Was it coming like kind of this bro world, like this kind of like douchebag club world mixed with like this kind of like faux sincere, country music.
I think that's actually the exact parallel of Blink-182, to be honest.
Wait, how so?
I mean, it's just like it is frat culture, whether they like it or not. I mean, they've basically taken Green Day and combined it with beer pong, and then that's the Blink-182.
Well, it's funny, it's like cool kids in my high school liked Blink-182, and then the losers did too. Like they did dovetail into both zones.
So which one were you?
Oh, I was not I was not socially cool. Although I became I became a class clown later in high school and became sort of popular that way.
That's classic.
Hosting a talent show and doing stuff like, you know what I mean? Being a self-deprecating fool.
So
and that was my, way into acceptance.
Perfect. What was your entry into Blink-182?
Okay. I think so my friend from high school, I think I was early in high school, and my friend was starting to feel like he was too cool for them. Oh, wow. How do I get rid of my...
I don't know. I liked it.
Every time
just
I get
keep it.
Thing, I don't know. My Messenger app is closed. Like, I don't know how that works.
Wow, Mr. Popular.
Muted or something?
Okay.
I don't normally use Skype.
That's fine. It's chill.
Can you imagine? Well, no, because you don't want that all over this interview. That would be such a nightmare.
I think you're overestimating how many texts you're going to be getting in the next few minutes. Maybe not.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Let's not worry about it then. Okay. So, all right, let me give you being an editor, I'll give you a clean start.
Okay. I mean, I'm probably not going to edit it, but I like having the option.
Yeah, come on. Okay. So yeah, my friend in high school, he was kind of getting too cool for them because he started listening to like Radiohead or something. Right. So he was like, hey, I have this CD of Dude Ranch. I don't want it anymore. So I think he sold it to me for like $5.
Amazing.
Because Enema of the State had not come out yet, but I think the video for What's My Age Again had come out, and I was into that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was, I'm pretty not like, that sounds pretty late, honestly, to be getting into them. Well, so I bought Dude Ranch and then had that, and then went to go see them play the Tabernacle in Atlanta with Phoenix TX and Silverchair.
Oh, hell yeah.
First concert without my parents, and I bought Enema of the State at the show.
Whoa.
Which is pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple questions. First of all, I love that your friend was like, probably could tell from What's My Age Again that shit was about to get too slick. And was like, I'm out.
It's like he was hearing that production and he was just like, nah, I'm not into this. I'm going to go back to because he was listening to like Chemical Brothers or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like was his, and I think he also just had got into like CD burning too.
Oh yeah. That was
like, yeah. So I think it was almost the concept of having a CD. He was like, I might as well sell this because this is a dead end. He was really on the whole thing.
But also, I think it's like we've talked to so many people whose first album was I mean, a lot of people say Enema, but some people like got into Blink-182. I mean, people got into Blink-182 from the newest album and were not even aware of Tom DeLonge, which is like so terrifying. But I think it's a good sign that your first one was Dude Ranch, and I'm curious how you feel about Dude Ranch versus Enema.
I think there's an argument to be made that Dude Ranch is their best album, and I guess now I have to back this statement up, which I'm not prepared to at all. I have no preparation of why I think this is true, but I think the argument I would make is it's their most sincere album to the time that they existed.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I do feel like there's a little bit of Enema of the State, and especially Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, that are very, where the audience that is taking this content in, it's considering that.
Totally.
And that's something I don't like about it. Like, because if you took the track list of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, it would be like what a group of people spitballing about what a 15-year-old would want to hear a song about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like, oh, let's have a song about AIM. Let's have a song about summer vacation. What else is on there? Let's have a song about the prom.
Yeah.
Let's have a song about going to the Warped Tour. Those are not things that those guys are doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's music for people, which is probably why they like their self-titled records so much.
Right.
Because it's, oh, fuck that. We don't have to sing about that anymore. Let's sing about what's happening to us right now. But what I would say is that Dude Ranch is the time where that dovetails perfectly into what the audience wants and what they are, where they're at artistically and creatively is actually in perfect synchronicity, I think.
Yeah.
So I would say it's actually, to me, if it's like, okay, almost like, what is Blink-182? What is that thing where you think about what is a chair and what chair do you picture?
Right.
You know what I mean? What is that psychology? I think it's Young. Which is, I love this comparison. But Blink-182 is like that. It's like, oh, Dude Ranch, when I think of them as artists. Which is weird because Travis is not even in the band at that point. So what is that saying? That's kind of weird.
No, you know what? I mean, I've always said that Dude Ranch is my favorite too. The thing is, like, when I ask people about it, I do in my head, even if I don't say it out loud, I have like a Billy Eichner voice where there is a correct answer to a subjective question like this. And you did answer correctly, but I never considered it that way of that. I always just thought, yeah, aesthetically, I love the look that they all had back then. I love the look of the record. I love the production being kind of rough. And I prefer Scott Rayner's drumming because it's so like kind of stupid and just barreling forward all the time. But I think what you just described is really true as well, where I never really considered the actual authenticity of that album compared to the later ones.
Well, because I don't know how old they were at the time, but they're closer. Like if you took their age and then the age of the target audience, that's probably the time period where it was the closest to being the same.
Right.
It's like, when they were making Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, the target audience is like, I distinctly remember feeling too old for that record when it came out the summer before my senior year of high school. Yeah. And that was like, wait, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that I definitely felt that way, where I felt like First Date is a song that I thought was like, I was like, I didn't feel like I was on the same page as them.
Well, the other thing is, like, my co-host Sam has especially, for some reason, going away to college does not bother me that much for these reasons, but he has, like, gone crazy about that song before and about how it feels like what you just described, like old people pretending to be college students.
What age were you when you first heard that song?
I mean, yeah, I guess I listened to it right when it first came out as well. But the thing is, a lot of our listeners have gotten really pissed off and been like, well, you can write about your experiences of being younger when you're older.
Oh,
and
totally.
I guess that's true. But I guess I also just think I don't like the idea of old people playing punk music to begin with. That's something that I have to reckon with as well.
But there's no element of hindsight in that in Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. It's happening in the moment. It's present,
right?
Lyrically, whereas like, it's not like clear hindsight. There's no like hints or clues that it's like, oh, okay, this is in retrospect,
right?
As a presentation, So you could make the argument that it's their most cynical album.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Have you listened to the newest Blink-182 stuff at all?
Yes, I totally have. Do you think there are people that, like you were saying about that don't know about Tom, do you think there are people that go to the show and just think that when they're hearing the old songs that, you know, the guy from Alkaline Trio was the singer? Like, do they...
Well,
there
there's
has to be some people that do that, right?
Yeah, there's definitely like the very first press photo that they released with Matt Skiba instead of Tom. He was like, and like, I don't know if you've seen Matt Skiba's outfits, but he kind of dresses like Beetlejuice basically most of the time. But in the first press photo, he's like wearing a Hurley hat, and I think they were just trying to make him look like.
Did he
like
always
Tom.
have like a lip ring? Is he like, he's kind of cosplaying as Tom a little bit, right?
Yeah. In the first photo, at least, and then they've sort of since let him wear his truly absurd outfits that he wears on stage all the time. But I think definitely they tried to ease in. And like, I've been to a show with him playing, and definitely got the vibe that like, I don't know, most people are not. It's kind of like what you're saying about how like the cool kids and the nerds like them. Like, you can just be a casual Blink-182 fan, and there's enough hits that you don't really need to know the members' names or whatever, I guess.
Right.
But I don't know. It's very bizarre. Like, so how do you feel about the newer albums?
Oh, they're not that, like, to me, I'm into it, but I don't think about it like it's Blink-182, which is probably, I don't know if the band itself would consider that successful or not. I don't know if that's what they're going for.
Right.
But to me, like, what it makes me think about is like, okay, is the song Elevator on Boxcar Racer more Blink-182 than Blink-182 with Matt Skiba?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, technically it's Boxcar Racer, but it's Travis on drums, Mark singing and playing. He plays bass on it, right? I don't know if he does.
I'm actually not sure.
Singing on it, and then Tom is playing guitar and singing on it. It's all the members of Blink-182 recording at this separate band called Boxcar Racer. It's insane. It's on one song. Whereas, like, technically, the new Blink-182 music is canon Blink-182, but like, what is truth? You know, it's like what is really Blink-182? So I kind of take like I have some headcanon about what really is Blink-182. So when I listen to their new music, I just think about it as if it's, you know, another Angels and Airwaves or Plus 44, or just another entity in the extended Blink universe.
You're very philosophical about Blink-182, which I appreciate.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like some of it is operating in hindsight, because there's been a couple times where I've kind of been less engaged with what they were doing. So it's been a revisiting. Like, sometimes I'll just revisit it, almost like I would with like, you know, lapsing in pro wrestling or something, where you leave for a while and then come back to kind of get oriented on what's happening now.
Right. So I think generally most people are usually a Mark person or a Tom person. And I need to know. Tom?
I'm a Tom head, 100%.
You're answering everything correctly today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely a Tom head. That's easy.
Well, the thing is, like, I think what you're just describing is the reason that Boxcar Racer featuring Mark Hoppus feels more like it might be Blink-182 than the current Blink-182 is because you need Tom's manic wildcard energy.
Sure, yeah. I mean, Tom it's crazy because I feel like Mark probably sings probably more of their hit songs, but I feel like Tom's songs are maybe the most well-known. Right? Is that the case? I don't even know really anymore, honestly.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
but maybe it's just because All the Small Things is so clearly their biggest song.
Yeah, I hate that song though. So I hate it so much.
Why? Why do you hate that song so much?
I don't know.
When they did all the stuff they did the MTV performance where they used like Little People, and it was like very. In retrospect, horribly offensive.
That's definitely one of hundreds of things that they've done that just age terribly more, and it ages badly 100 years every day. It feels like a lot of the things they did back then. No, I just hate it. I don't know why. I think it just bugs me. It gets under my skin. It sounds like a Kids Bop song, and there is a Kids Bop version of it as well. But in fact, maybe you would like to know about this. I've talked about this on the pod before, but there is something that I do love that comes from All the Small Things. Wow, I'm rambling right now. there's this British drama series called All the Small Things, and it's about, and in fact there's a little person in that show as well. It's a dramedy about a woman who is like a choir leader in a small church, and her husband leaves her for a younger, hotter choir singer, and her son, I think, has some sort of autism or something, that his manifestation of that is he's completely obsessed with Tom DeLonge and Blink-182, and so then she ends up like battling her ex-husband and his new lover with this choir off, and they cover like a cappella Blink-182 songs, and they cover All American Rejects, and there's just these like lengthy scenes where her son like just sort of rattles off Blink-182 facts to strangers, but it's also like a dead serious show.
That's amazing. It seems very niche.
I know.
I'll have to check it out.
I mean, like, I don't know how or why they would have signed it off for the show, or maybe they didn't need to. It's hard to say. But I do want to talk to you about TV because there's so many. Sure. I mean, there's so much to talk about. First of all, we're talking about a specific era that really does tie to Pen 15. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how to really, because I was thinking, I don't remember there being much like explicit Blink-182 referencing in the show, but it still felt like we were in Blink-182.
Yeah, I think there's not any. We almost, I think at one point we auditioned so many songs when Maya and Anna first arrived at school. We tried it with a lot of different needle drop pop songs, and I think at one point All the Small Things, a song you love and really are a big fan of. No, at one point we synced that up to them arriving at school as one of the options of going there. I mean, I think we wanted something that would place you in that period like immediately, but I don't know. We just couldn't beat Lit, which we actually used in the presentation as well. But yeah, that was sort of that we ended up doing that. So I don't think there's any Blink-182 in the show, but if like I was if I had a comp character on the show, like Maya and Anna do, my character would be listening to the whole soundtrack would be Blink-182.
Maybe season 2, you can write that in there.
There'll be tons of Blink-182.
Like just you, every once in a while, you just walk by and be like, and just say like, I'm listening to Anthem Part 2 right now.
Right, the only sequel better than the original.
So in addition to this sort of like vague possible pop punk like subtext of Pen 15, there was an explicit Blink-182 joke on Who is America, which you also worked on. And this was the thing, is that whenever there's a Blink-182 reference in pop culture, I just get messaged it endlessly. But I was watching that show in real time, so I saw it when it happened. I didn't know how to respond to people. But, I mean, there was a Blink-182 joke in there. Did you have anything to do with the Blink-182 joke being in that show?
No, even though I probably have to be the biggest Blink-182 fan involved.
Yeah, like I don't know if you're. I feel like
not come to me, no, but no one appreciated it more. I love the joke in the show.
Children under 5 also have elevated levels of the pheromone Blink-182, produced by the part of the liver known as the Rita Ora. This allows nerve reflexes to travel along the Cardi B neural pathway to the Wiz Khalifa 40% faster, saving time and saving lives.
When it comes to the safety of our children,
the way to stop a bad guy with a gun
is a good kid with a gun.
A good kid with a gun.
A good child with a gun.
I feel like the show is like seems to be very shrouded in secrecy, but I am curious, like, was Sacha Baron Cohen walking around listening to Dump Weed when you're working with him?
Not that I know of, but I would like to hope so. I'd like to hope that it's in some mix deep in his Spotify. No, I have no idea. I've never talked to Sacha about Blink-182, but yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the first episode of that show, 100%.
The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about TV. Now, I don't know if you had anything to do with this. I was meaning to ask John about it, but I forgot. Mm-hmm. But speaking of things that people send me all the time, in the one episode of Portlandia where Matt Groening appeared, there's the T-shirt that says Bart Skamson. Mm-hmm, and the thing that's happened now is, like, I watched Portlandia when it was on TV. I mean, I love comedy TV. I don't fall behind on my comedy TV shows. So I watched it. I knew all about it. And then all these years pass by, and now that image is completely divorced from Portlandia, and people are always sending it to me like it's a real bootleg T-shirt that they found online. And I'm just like,
they might have actually found it though. I mean, I have it. I mean, there are multiple versions of that shirt was produced for crew, I think, on the show.
so the shirt does exist.
Yeah, it might exist. It might be floating around. People might actually be finding it that because it was produced as part of like a crew gift for the show. So
perhaps someone from the crew is like, I don't want this anymore. Took it to a thrift store.
Everyone, but at some point, maybe it really is floating out there to be discovered by certain people. But I think Matt Groening also collects bootleg Simpsons merchandise, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that before too. That's so cool. But I mean, the Bart Scampson one is it's truly amazing. It's so good. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to, when someone sends it to me and like, man, have you seen this? I don't know how to like explain that it's part of a deeply meta episode of Portlandia. I just usually just like the post when they send it to me.
It's almost like all media. It's just going to be like memes and GIFs and stuff. And like, you know how like Tim Heidecker's free real estate guy, you know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
Like people, there's all these people that just only know things based on memes, or like Tom DeLonge is like, you know, what the fuck from the First Date video.
Right. Yeah. Do you think there's people who like only know that, but don't know who Tom DeLonge is?
Yes. And it's like in 50 years, like that number is just going to grow and grow and grow. It's kind of a scary thought to think about.
Yeah. Like the meme is the most important thing that they've ever created. In a way, or
to like a certain generation of people, especially young people, it's so much more accessible to see a GIF on if you're searching like in Messenger or something, and you type an emotion and you see a picture. That is much more accessible than like trying to navigate a television company's app.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, so in the end, it's like, what are people going to engage with more? Or, you know, or what are they going to know? And so there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to be like, you're trying to explain to them Blink-182, and they're like, oh, the what the fuck GIF guy? Like, you know, what?
That's true.
Like, recently I saw there was like a trending topic on Twitter that they were like, this guy with a beard smiling, this GIF that looks like Zach Galifianakis isn't. It's actually Robert Redford. And you're like, what? Like, that is such a, like, I don't know. I guess that's where it's all going, I guess, in the end. Everything's just going to be like 3 seconds or, you know.
Right. I mean, I guess that's kind of a good question since you're so philosophical about Blink-182 is like, why do you think Blink-182 is currently, like, literally, especially in the meme world, which is something that I do pay a lot of attention to, you can just like use Blink-182 as a punchline. And yet they're a great band and so many people love them, but they're also just like a lazy punchline right now. So what's the deal? What do you think?
What would the setup to that joke be, though? Like, what are they a punchline for?
Well, I'm not saying like it's like not like
punk or something, or like, or just the concept of like quote unquote bad music. Is that what you mean?
I mean, it's more like it's not even. I'm not saying it's a good punchline, but I'm saying that you can see something going very viral on the internet that's just like, I don't know, like, get in, we're listening to Blink-182 or something, and that's like doing really
like
well.
If it was a movie and it was to show like almost like the scene. What's the band in Step Brothers where Adam Scott's like, it's actually Dane Cook. It's like, I got Dane Cook tickets. I'll see, like, that's what you mean, something like that.
Yeah, it's just like sort of like as a theme mentioning Blink-182. In fact, that's probably why it's better that Pen 15 went with Lit, because it's a way more almost authentic feeling choice. Because Blink-182 feels like it's like the new just go-to thing. It's like bacon or something at this point.
Right, like it's low-hanging fruit is kind of what you're saying.
But it's also like something that so many people genuinely love and is good. So it's just, I'm lost.
Well, first of all, I feel like maybe I've said a lot of critical things, but I probably need to reestablish that they are one of the best bands, one of the best American bands ever.
Absolutely. I agree.
So let's just get that out of the way, that all the criticism is coming from a place of, you know, you only scrutinize the best. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, let's be clear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird, though. I don't know. I mean, you could just, I guess the difference is that you actually work for funny TV shows instead of, you're not just like someone, you're not like the fat Jewish or whatever cranking out memes all the time.
I don't know what that is. Is that a show?
Oh, it's like no, it's like Instagram meme accounts that have like millions and millions of followers. They love to
Jerry
just, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
all right.
I don't know. It's very strange. But back to Lit, I will say there is a latter Lit video where Blink-182 naked from What's My Age Again runs through that video as well.
Wait, really? Like several years later?
I think it's no, it's like later than their hit, but it's around the same time as What's My Age Again, I believe.
Oh, so it's like a crossover.
Yeah, it's like exactly
through our video.
Exactly.
Not My Own Worst Enemy, is it?
I don't think so.
That's a song we used, but yeah. Or is it the one where they're on like Pamela Anderson? What is that one?
Let me see.
They're like miniature and they're playing on Pamela Anderson's body, which is just, that really is, that goes
playing it. It's a song called Ziploc. I have no idea.
Toxic masculinity of pop.
Definitely no Pamela Anderson in here, but they're playing like at a pool party, and then the members of Blink run by.
Oh, that's not, you're not talking about Sum 41 in Too Deep. That's not a pool party. That's just like a communal pool or some kind of diving competition or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess like, yeah, honestly, we've talked about Blink-182 more than we would have if I had known what specific song this was attached to. So we've done really good here. But finally, like, what do you want to plug or what do you want to let us know about?
Well, okay, you got Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein, which if you are a listener,
heard of it here first.
You heard John Levinstein, brilliant writer, executive producer, showrunner, but basically announce.
Yeah, like, do you think
it's now streaming? It's now accessible on Netflix.
Do you think anyone at Netflix or A24 was like pissed off? Well, I guess they just didn't find out that he said that on here. It seemed as he was saying it, I was like, I wonder if a PR person is going to be mad about this.
Well, it's streaming now, so you got it. If you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. It came out on July 16th. It stars David Harbour from Stranger Things. So I believe someone told me that once Stranger Things finishes, if you're in some sort of part of the algorithm somewhere, that it will prompt you to watch this.
Oh, really? That's great.
I think he's amazing. Yeah, it's a comedy with David Harbour that I guess I would plug that and say that you just go watch that.
I would prefer if you would announce something that hasn't been announced yet.
Oh, God. Well, I have to disappoint you. You know what I would love to plug is to sort of in concert with the release of Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein, which the plot is David Harbour III is trying to look for answers from his father, David Harbour Jr.'s televised plays of his lost production, which is called Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein. I thought it would be appropriate to basically dig deeper and search for answers on a long-lost Blink-182 feature film, if you'll allow me. Turn the podcast into some kind of serial-based investigation on what happened to the long-lost Blink-182 biopic.
Please, yes.
Okay, so basically the backstory is that well, basically, I don't know. Maybe can we just call my friend?
Yeah, let's do it.
Is this possible?
Okay, Dan, please lead us through what's going on here.
Okay, all right. Here we've called in a quest for answers about a long-lost biopic about Blink-182. We've called my friend and college roommate, Jorge Del Pinal. Are you there, Jorge?
Yes, hello.
Okay, so what we need to know is you auditioned for a biopic about Blink-182. Is this correct? Do I have this right?
You have that right. Yes, I video auditioned. I didn't get an in-person interview.
How did you hear about this audition? Like, what is this movie? Like, we didn't know that there was a biopic about Blink-182. What is this?
So in like 2009, I want to say like December, I used to read this website called absolutepunk.net.
Classic.
Emo pop punk news of the day. It was like the best source. Gone now, RIP. But but they listed they linked to a Craigslist post saying they were casting for a Mark or all the band Blink-182 for a biopic, independent. So I was like, I kind of look like him and I kind of sound like him, and I obviously love Blink-182, so I was like, had to try out for it.
Is this something that you'd say you'd get regularly? Like, do you just think you look like Mark Hoppus, or has anyone told you this?
Well, people have told me. I mean, also I have to guess that my style was probably influenced by Mark Hoppus. You know, like I definitely wore those stupid Atticus shirts and Famous Stars and Straps, all that stuff.
Hell yeah!
So it was like, you know,
when did you retire that wardrobe?
Probably, oh God, in college at some point. So probably after college, like 2007,
okay,
2007, 2008. But once at when Blink-182 played with No Doubt, I was in the pit and I was wearing a hoodie, and a bunch of people thought I was Mark Hoppus. So
whoa, pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. But anyway, so I emailed this person. They got back to me. I was all excited.
Hold on. So you saw some kind of link on absolutepunk.net, which is a website you probably say you go to every day at this point.
Yeah, oh yeah. At that point, definitely.
You could open your. Did I have that right?
Wait, sorry, I missed the second part.
Your internet browser homepage?
Probably not, but it was definitely an open tab.
So you see a link there, and was it just like an email, or the email was on the site, or did it link you to like Craigslist or something?
I think they probably had the email on the site, because when I'm looking back on my emails, it was to Blink-182 casting or blinkcasting@gmail.com.
Oh my God.
Okay, so there was an email that was set up called blinkcasting@gmail.com.
Yes. And a woman named Brianna. What, sorry?
What year is this again?
2009, December,
okay.
I think.
All right. So what was the next step then?
So I emailed, sent pictures of myself, a couple of videos I was in, and then just, crossed my fingers. Then this woman, Brianna, got back to me saying, like, you do kind of look like him. And like the picture I sent was, this was my MySpace profile for a while. It was like me in a giant, there's this place in Hollywood that makes these giant pizzas. And so it's me in this pizza box, like kind of looking sexy at the camera, eating a pizza.
Very like Mark Hoppus style joke.
Yes. And she even sent an email like, this is totally something Mark would do. I was like, this is a good sign. So
your acting experience up to this point, I think the people listening are like, oh, is this person in SAG? Like, is this? Yeah. What are qualifications for being Mark at this point?
A lot of sketch videos. We did a lot of sketch videos, so I was in those. I definitely took improv classes, so like I knew a little. I felt like I was comfortable enough. Like I could probably pull it off.
Yeah, like a white wall camcorder aesthetic. Like late 2000s comedy scene.
Yes.
I have a question. Did you like practice a Mark Hoppus voice? And if so, do you remember how to do it?
It's probably just I don't think I really did, because I feel like my voice is like pretty close to me. He's just a little lower, I feel like.
Yeah. True.
So as Mark Hoppus, defend the new direction of Blink-182.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna make a bold statement. Like, I would take the guy from Alkaline Trio now over Tom now. Tom's like too weird for me now.
Oof. Well,
yeah, that's it. So Jorge in college, Jorge was a Mark head and I was a Tom head.
Yes.
So
that did make for a very believable Mark Hoppus impression. You saying that, so I think it works.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so how was this audition? Did you meet anyone? Did you audition for anybody in person? How did it happen?
No. So after she got the picture and the sketches that I sent, she was like, "Oh yeah, these are good. This is kind of like Mark Hoppus vibes. So can you send yourself doing Damn It?" And I was like, okay, do you want me to do it like a cappella or like rock band? She was like, rock band for sure.
Rock band.
And so I had Rock Band, and I had downloaded all the Blink-182 songs that were available. And so she asked for Damn It, I think. She was like, can you do Damn It? And I was like, yeah. So I had that. I got a friend, Mike Giambra, now an editor, renowned editor.
Yeah, the editor of Baskets.
Yes.
Oh my god,
This is a good story, by the way. This is great.
Name dropping.
One of the main two editors of the show Baskets is responsible for this audition tape.
And so he recorded me doing "Damn It," and the other funny thing about it was I had a rock band set up where me and my friends like Dan got really into it. I got a mic stand so I could actually play guitar or bass, I guess, and sing at the same time. So I think I had that set up, and I just gave it like 1,000%. I was super out of breath, jumping around, and
Imagine all the clicking sounds in with all the instruments of the plastic instruments.
I think so. Unfortunately, and I have to blame Basket's Mike Giambra. He deleted the video off. He had it on his Vimeo account.
Otherwise, we could play it.
John, I emailed him asking if he still had it somewhere.
And what was the subject line of that email?
Of which emergency.
Well, I guess if you don't have the video anymore, my new goal is to definitely get in touch with Rihanna from blinkcasting@gmail.com. Not to mention, it looks like I found the MTV article you mentioned, Dan. Brandon Flores was going to be the filmmaker, and it looks like the Absolute Punk post resulted in the film being completely shut down.
Yes, that was the headline. Blink-182 biopic moving ahead, with or without Blink's blessing.
Yeah, in this article, Brandon says, "We've been getting a lot of angry emails, people asking me why we're making a movie, if the guys in Blink are still alive, or saying we're going around trying to make up history since we weren't there at the beginning. I try to tell them that I'm a Blink fan, and I'm trying my best not to fuck up history. We've been getting help from a lot of fans who were there at the beginning. We want to do this right." But Blink did shut them down. They would not have offered any of their original music. But I would have loved to hear sort of the fake movie version of Blink-182, especially with Jorge's Mark. It would be so good.
Well, and then I'm seeing this part of the article. So, armed with some promising headshots, we've gotten a lot of marks, and we're close to casting one.
Oh.
So do you think, I don't know what the odds are, but is this you, Jorge? Do you think? Are you the promising mark?
You know what's funny is I think I sent my thing in and then that article came out because I remember this. And I remember being like, oh, maybe I'm one of the marks. But it wasn't to be. I'm going to say that it was because it got shut down. They just gave up that I didn't get anything back. I didn't hear anything back.
Right, because you think you were kind of in the power. You were in first position. You were technically in LA. You were in the first position to be Mark, but then the project got shut down. So this could have cost you this role, I think.
Maybe it's for the best though, because based on Brandon's quotes, it sounds like he got a lot of threats. There's a lot of Mark heads out there that may not have liked my Mark. I don't know.
I just noticed at the very end of the article, Mark Hoppus did reply to MTV's request for comment and said, "No, I didn't know anything about the movie. I wonder how it pays. Should I try out for the part of Tom?"
Oh my God.
So you could have played Mark opposite Mark playing Tom.
That would have been the dream. I would have been so happy.
It's like some Todd Solondz shit. That's just having people change character, who's playing what. It's like palindromes. That would be good. Now, did a Blink-182 movie ever come out, Jorge?
Well, I did some digging because I kind of wanted to see if I could find Brandon Flores when we started talking about it. Couldn't really find him.
Not to be confused with Brandon Flowers.
I did find, not Brandon Flowers, Brandon Flores. I did find another Blink-182 musical that's not quite the same thing. It came out the same year because I thought it was the same thing. It was found this video and it's called Reckless Abandon.
Yeah.
And it apparently premiered in San Diego, but there's no copies of it online except for this weird.
Do you know about this?
I know all about it. There's a lot. The quick thing is that again they couldn't secure the rights to the music. There's a couple YouTube videos from it that are among some of the cringiest things I've ever seen. And I have found the filmmakers on Facebook, and I think I'm just in the purgatory of their message requests folder. But I'd love to see what the film turned out like. But
have you watched the trailer? Is going to be the first question.
The trailer is unbelievable. It is truly
Somebody
unbelievable.
Send it to Catatonic Youths. So if you're listening, So if you're listening to this, find the trailer for Reckless Abandon, the kind of across the universe Julie Taymor style answer to Blink-182, and send it to Catatonic Youth, the Instagram page.
Absolutely.
Because I think he would appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we were hoping that we could just like premiere the film on our Patreon or something, because I think we're in a safe place copyright wise. We're sort of hidden away. No one needs to know. But I would love to see the whole thing. But yeah, it looks like the people who made that one sort of went on to like, I think they made some horror movies or something, and they kind of seem to just pretend it never happened. And there was a bunch of studio recordings on their MySpace page, but MySpace Music has been deleted since then.
I know. Such a bummer.
It's really sad.
So I don't know. Would love to see the movie. So if anybody can get a copy of the movie, let me know. Try to find
if you know
to send to us.
And if you know Brandon Flores as well, we need to find out more about this for sure.
So it's a mystery that's unraveling that I don't think we know the answer to quite at this time. But what could have been? There could have been a Walk the Line style biopic about the origins of the band Blink-182. What could have been?
Was there any like plot information when you auditioned?
No, I just remember the original post mentioned that it was like the early days. And also I think in the article they mentioned like Brandon Flores saw Lords of Dogtown.
Right.
And was like, I want to make Blink-182. So it has to be like origin story, you know?
Yeah. So do you think that you could have played Mark at multiple ages is the other question.
Yeah, I mean, depending on their, their budget for aging, their aging budget. I think
prosthetics, their prosthetic department, and how realistic they could get. I mean, it's like somewhere in between Benjamin Button. That's like as good as it could probably have gotten at that time.
Or they could have like, got a good shirt budget and started out with like the old shirts and then gone up to the Atticus.
Right.
So shirts would be doing the work. They would be the wardrobe would be tracking the time period.
Yes, that's how I do it.
That's true. That's true to life, I think.
Yeah.
There's probably like here's what I'm imagining some of the scenes are. There's probably a scene where they're at that Mexican food, sombreros.
Sombreros, yeah.
They're eating at sombreros and they're like, let's start a band. Like they decide. You know what I mean? Like that's probably a scene.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely, like breaking up with Scott is very dramatic.
It's all scored. They do like an orchestral version of Man Overboard. Like it's woven into the film score. Like during the scene where they have to kick Scott out of the band.
I'm trying to think. I think, Dan, I'm getting a vibe that you could have maybe played Scott. I'm not sure about Tom.
Not Tom. I have to be Scott.
Yeah, I don't know who would be. Tom, I think, is going to be really difficult to cast. I want to say that Jim Carrey could still do it now.
Like he's kind of in the same sort of headspace, it feels.
Exactly. But then Travis is really the most confusing. Maybe like Lil Pump or something, or one of those Lil rappers could play him.
Right, yeah. Or like Riff Raff or something.
Yeah, Riff Raff or Machine Gun Kelly might be able to pull it
off.
off.
Machine Gun Kelly, that's really good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because I don't know if you've seen Roadies, but he really is quite amazing in that show.
No, I haven't. But yeah, Machine Gun Kelly, that's good casting for Tom for sure. And then, and then Tom Lord Alge and,
right.
all the rest, like they can all be in it.
Wow, this has been really illuminating. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is leaving me with more questions than answers, but I loved hearing about it. And
for Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein, now streaming on Netflix. So
maybe your next Netflix thing could be making this, like, just get the script and make it.
Was there a title?
I think it was just called Blink, according to the MTV.
Yeah.
It was called Blink. That's pretty good.
What else are you going to call it, really?
Although, wouldn't the Australian band that was originally called Blink sue?
Oh, yeah. They're Irish. The Irish.
Oh, that's what it was. Irish, yeah.
Irish techno band.
Because how are you going to make a biopic about them now?
Right. Well, actually, maybe it's better to make one about them, and Blink 182 that we know is more in the sort of the subtext of it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jorge, I'm so sorry to hear that it didn't pan out for you.
It's all right. I'll get over it someday.
Have you ever met Mark? That's another thing I would like to see.
No, I feel like I had some friends that I felt like could have gotten me in, but the band kind of broke up at the time that I may have had the ins, and it's no longer.
Was this during one of their breaks as a band, or no? Had they gotten back together?
No, I don't think they had.
Were they really?
No, I think they got back together in 2008 or something like that.
Yeah, some title was before for sure.
So maybe they had just recently got back together.
Maybe they got back together because they saw that people were making a movie about them, and they're like, "Wow,
put the kibosh on it.
Still got it."
Yeah, shut it down.
Damn. Well, I really don't know how to end this, but thank you for informing me about this. This is mind blowing. I can't believe I haven't stumbled across this MTV article.
Yeah,
you got to read absolutepunk.net, man.
Yeah, does that website still exist?
No, it turned into chorus.fm, but I'm going to, as soon as we're done, I tried doing it and it fucked up Skype, but I'm going to put this link into the Wayback Machine and really do some digging.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Okay, cool. So we're searching for answers on Blink, long lost biopic about Blink 182.
Starring Jorge as Mark.
Yeah, starring Jorge Del Pinal as Mark Hoppus and starring Mark Hoppus as Tom DeLonge.
I do hear the Mark voice a little bit.
As Travis Barker.
I can hear the Mark voice a little bit, for sure.
It's pretty good.
It's alright to tell me what you think about me. I won't try to argue or hold it against you.